Good morning, accelerators. Good to see you this beautiful rainy day here in the Detroit area. We're getting right to it. So Rohit asks, is it necessary to have your core values, mission statement, vision statement, and your why visible for customers to see? Background is we are getting a storefront in a couple of months and wondering if this would make customers loyal to the brand. So I do think all of these things are incredibly important, and I do think they should be visible. That said, I don't know that they're that important from the customer's perspective because ultimately this is your core values, your mission statement, your vision statement. This is your why. This is huge from your culture. This is huge from your employees' perspective. Um, I don't think it hurts for customers to see it, but I think the key, it's not going to say they're going to walk into a store one day, read that, and go, "Oh my gosh, I just resonate with this brand." They're probably not even going to pay that much attention to it. They see messages all the time, so I would do it for your internal purposes far more than your external. That said, I want you to use these things to measure if you're working with the right customers. I think that's huge. And at some point, if they're working with you enough, they're going to understand what your core values are, whether or not you even post them. And they're going to resonate that, yes, that this is the type of organization I want to work with as well. Next question is Lamont. Lamont asks, when should I increase my pricing and by how much? Says, I own a technology company where we provide solutions to home and business owners that give them peace of mind, security cameras, point of sale systems, tech products. I have been operating from home for several years now, and I am finally able to take this leap to open a storefront with showrooms. With additional overhead of rent, utilities, paying staff, I want to adjust my pricing on some, if not all, of my products and services. Is it wise to increase my pricing by 20% or so just to cover my new overhead? So let's start with this. I'm not sure that across the board 20% necessarily is your magic number. And I would also say that I don't think customers care that you've increased your overhead and thus necessarily want to pay you extra. So that's kind of one of the challenges as we grow and increase. Um, we take on additional overhead with staff and locations, etc. But our customers are used to paying us the price that we charged when we didn't have that additional overhead. Um, So I'm not sure you can just automatically raise your prices 20% and not have customer fall off. That said, are you charging the right rates in the first place? If you think you have 20% you can be adding because you're that low price of a provider for the value of the service you're offering, then by all means raise your prices. Um, I think that's really the key. You need to charge what less than whatever the value to the customer is. And so if you can make that argument, but then by all means raise your prices to that value. But I don't think customers are going to care about the overhead aspect of the question or find that necessarily a value to them specifically. Next question is from Stella. Stella asks, what do you think successful brands have in common? Says, I own a small sportswear brand in Croatia. General competition in the sports apparel industry is tough, and I want to learn what you think I could apply to my strategy from other successful brands. Okay, so I think I can certainly give you my opinion, but I would, analyze that from your perspective. But what I think is brands like that in that type of space, they're known for their quality. Obviously, they have name recognition. In a lot of ways, they get that is through some kind of loyal following or a lot of marketing and advertising in order to get themselves that version of name recognition. They work with influencers, they work with professional athletes for endorsements to drive that quality feel and brand loyalty through their customer base. And in general, I think that they have something unique. I know, a lot of, these type of products seem the same, but at least when they started, a lot of times they went with something unique that made them different than their competition. And I think that's probably, especially starting out, I would try to look for What makes me unique? And then how can I build that from a loyalty perspective, getting influencers and items along those lines. And I think that kind of takes us into our next question a little bit as well. So let me pause for a second and go right there. So next question is Stella and asks, if not only paid ads and email marketing, what else do you think I could do for more people to find out about my brand? And says, I own a small sportswear brand in Croatia that has been on the market for 18 months. I run ads and have a new email marketing strategy. What else can I do to reach new buyers? So, as I kind of alluded to in the first question a little bit, I would look towards how do you find influencers in your space? Maybe it's giving them free products to try out, or paying them for some version of endorsement. But finding influencers in this space can be huge, especially when you're small and starting out. If you don't say exactly what you mean by sportswear, but if I have to assume, tank tops or sports bras or leggings or things along those lines, um, products along those lines, just buying an ad for somebody looking for these things. If you find them online and they have no brand recognition and never heard of you, probably the only way you're going to get that sale would be the lowest cost provider, which is not necessarily the best way to build a brand based on quality strategy. Um, and so if that's what you're looking to do to actually create that brand and build that brand, you want to get people liking your product and influencers and super fans, supporting your product and telling people about it and wanting them to use it more. Is there an opportunity as well to go down the viral video type of path? Your product being used in a funny, unique kind of way can gain a lot of traction as well and get a lot of name recognition out there. And I guess I'd leave you with the question, what makes your product unique? Why do I want to buy yours over the competition? If people thoroughly understand that aspect of what makes it unique, I think you got a much better shot of then building that from that perspective. And we don't have a lot of questions today. And in fact, this one's even a little bit off of what people would normally ask me about, me being the marketing guy. But the last question is from Jonathan. And Jonathan asks, how do I determine what type of life insurance I should have? And he says, I am a residential real estate agent. I am looking to maximize my money for future investments. I hear life insurance is a way, but I'm not sure what type of work will work best for me. Do you view life insurance as an investment vehicle, or how do you view it, and how do I know if it's appropriate for me? Great questions. I don't want to, taint this conversation, but I've certainly had a lot of life insurance experts tell me on how great life insurance is as a vehicle. I've also talked to a bunch of financial advisors about life insurance as an investment vehicle as well. By no means am I a financial advisor. I don't understand tax strategies one way or another about how this truly works. I pay experts in those areas to help me with those things. My high level view is I believe there's a difference between term life insurance and whole life insurance. Term is the one where you say, okay, for the next 20 years, if I die, I'm going to pay a very little rate and they're going to give me a bunch of money, or my family a bunch of money if I die. And that's typically how most people think of life insurance. I highly recommend getting term because obviously if you have family and expenses to mitigate your income if for something were to happen to you, it's very low cost for the risk versus reward factor for somebody of not of a very high age or high risk level. Whole is the concept that you're buying life insurance. And this is my best understanding. And so you can overfund that life insurance or pay more than the premium, and then the premium can become some version of an investment / annuity, and it becomes some way tax deferred because it's actually life insurance and it's not, the interest you're paying taxes on or something along those lines. I don't know any more about it than that. That said, when I've asked the financial advisor I know and trust, he told me that basically I'm not investing enough to take advantage of the tax advantages enough in order to mitigate the costs of the increasing premium on the life insurance as I get older. So although it sounds good now, you're locked in, and the premium, let's say in my age, my premium is $50 a month. that's very low. But 20 years from now, my premium might be at $1,000 a month, at which point I have to pay all this additional premium. And the advantage of having that premium versus just having the term life insurance if and when I needed it versus being locked in, he said didn't make sense for me today. Um, that's the best I can give. I think that's my situation where I was at when I asked him the question a couple of years ago. I think everybody's situation is going to be different. And from that perspective, I would talk to a financial advisor that's not a salesperson specifically about all of the pros and cons of investments of this type. Um, with that, I wish you the best of luck and hope you don't die. Since we're talking about life insurance, um, but everybody have a great month, and I'll talk to you next month. Thanks.